Okay. Well, my speech isn't about health. It's to start off. Have you ever wondered what, like, Star Wars and Harry Potter had in common? Well, both of them were orphans, and they both felt like they had something better in the world that they needed to do, and they both ended up great. The thing I'm trying to say is that fictional stories all have a process that you need to go through in order to get them out. Whether they are from a book or from a short story or a movie, they're told with events that haven't really occurred in real life, which is the definition of fictional stories. Well, to put it simply, they're just made up. The question I'd like to present to you is another question: is what's the process in writing one? Well, today I'd like to just break down for you the process of writing a fictional story. I have written a few stories myself, and I have an idea of the process of writing one. But I'm no Stephen King, so I have like a very low credibility level. The best way to describe the process is when you're writing down the story would be similar to an average student who is getting ready to write an essay. He stares at the computer for about a couple of minutes. At least that's what I do. The process of writing a fictional story is broken down into three main points, or three main parts. The creation of a character, the situation, the questions that you should ask yourself about the character and the situation, and the physical setting you put them yourself in as you write. Writing a fictional story has come from somewhere. Like you can't be made it from anywhere, like at the top of your head. You just describe a character in your mind, and you just put them into a situation. And just an example of that would be like an orphan boy who feels like he has no place in the world, but learns he is a great wizard and must attend a special school to exceed his potential. Creating a character out of nowhere, it seems crazy, but if you just need a few moments of thought. It's a fictional story, so it doesn't have to be realistic. The character doesn't even have to be a person. It could be something like an animal or a tree. The idea is it needs to express emotion somehow, because emotions will drive the character. The stories could be about a white blood cell that it has human traits and emotions. You can tell how he's feeling and what he's going through. And putting him on a personal level would be a good idea too, like making him a rookie cop and whatnot, and fighting off germs and other things. The situation is made up. Requires more thought than just making up a random character. It could be something lame, like a child's mother being, or Santa Claus being kidnapped by Martians, or it could be something better that turns out the mom or Santa were Martian. The situation is what the character becomes involved with. Even if the story seems lame, it's still a story. If you write about a situation you relate strongly with, and you have values you share with the situation, it would be okay to apply those values to the character. It would make the character more believable. You could have better insight in knowing his emotions by writing about something that you know about, like see how you feel about something. The more the character is involved with the situation, the more characteristics they'll have. If a war kills a boy's family, and he's now on a mission to stop the war, he'll have more feelings towards the situation at hand. If the situation surprises the character and forces them into the role of heroes, then you got a comedy. And then it's likely that the character would be set up entirely, like, it'll be a surprise the most of the time, like not wondering why him, why is he the one that has to do all this stuff. Something that Stephen King actually says is, in lots of cases, is seeing two things and having them come together into something interesting and new. Lots of cases, the theme in what you read about could also be the situation. It'll help you figure out the situation you want to put the character in. Like if it's a horror, you can have the character, or you can have the character situation be about DNA manipulation gone wrong, or a fleet of zombies, whatever you feel scared, and you could use those emotions that you have to add to the character. Asking yourself questions about the character would be the next part of it, because it would advance the story and it help you answer questions and open new pathways for the story. An author thinks of the situation and asks a question about it. Know that the character has taken the day off from school and thinking about what he'll do next after when to do with his day off. Asking questions about situations gives the character room to explore options. Does Luke Skywalker befriend anybody who isn't in the war? Questions like that can help move the story along. Asking questions such as how the story would end would be a good strategy, because it could focus onto the clear ending of what you want to have, and things like that. Like figuring out how it's going to end, and also tying some loose things on the side if you ask questions about the physics of the situation, like are they in space and stuff like that. Like in Star Wars, you could say that when a Jedi dies, does his body become part of the Force, or is just there to be burned, like Darth Vader was? What if a room in a hotel was cursed? Different questions you could ask. Questions that Stephen King asks himself is what if? That's his main thing. Adding the question what if is always a key question. That's what he says. And so he probably asks himself, what if a writer is saved from a car crash from a diehard fan? Just different things that you can think of could be pretty much added to the story. But another thing is important of writing a story is the physical setting you put yourself in. If you it also determine your comfort level, and otherwise you'd be distracted in things you have to do. Like if your room is really messy, you think about cleaning it every once in a while. When the last time you cleaned it was. J.K. Rowling actually says in an interview with Oprah that she prefers to write in a hotel that she goes to go to. She feels really comfortable, and she goes in there. That's where she wrote her last installment of Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows, and she said that she's kind of superstitious, and she enjoyed or felt like all of her ideas were advanced through just being in that hotel, and that really helped her out. And when I write, I prefer to have a setting like this: just a table, chair, chips, a drink, and a notebook, of course, with pencil. But that's what you need to think about when you write a story. You have to physically be ready to do it, because otherwise you be really distracted and not want to. So when writing a physical story, remember to be comfortable when writing, and that it all starts with a person, a situation, and 3 questions. Just think, you could be in a very comfortable situation when you're sitting on the john, and you might think of the next Harry Potter Star Wars. Thank you.
All right, John, what did you think?
The biggest thing that bugged me was you kept looking back at your notes, but you did have a good intro. You did lay out what you were going to talk about pretty clearly. I like the allusions to Osmosis Jones and the constant references to Harry Potter and Star Wars. There was a lot of good information, and if anything, I think you could have spoken a little bit louder and more towards the audience. That's about it.
All right, well, there's several things that I think are pretty solid. I like that you had a good preview at the beginning, and I thought your summary helps remind us what it was that you were trying to get across there. I think the rhetorical question works better than the survey kind of thing, and the reference that you had was pretty effective. So the opening of the speech, I think, is good. I didn't think that you were very consistent about making the transitions, though, in the organization of the speech, and a lot of the material, as a consequence, just felt like it was running together. Sometimes we're talking about characters, sometimes we're talking about settings, sometimes we're talking about story, and it just seemed like we were kind of going over the same points a few times. Now, I think this would be one of those places when you're struggling for a visual reference to use in a presentation. This might be one of those situations, because you have so many recommendations that you're trying to give, that maybe we get 2 or 3 bullet points on a poster board or a slide that reminds us, okay, here are the key considerations to think about in your character. What's their nature, what do they look like, so on and so forth. Or here are some of the questions about the scene or the setting where it's going to be taking place, and then give your examples to fill in those things. As it is, I think it's probably a little bit much to expect people to remember much of the content here without having some additional reference to structure. I liked the Harry Potter examples that you came back to, and the Stephen King references that you made. I appreciated the quotes when you included them. I think you needed more of those sorts of things. The problem is, it sounds like you're trying to condense a semester's length of a fiction writing class into an 8-minute speech, and that's awfully hard to do without getting to key ideas quickly and developing them a lot. There's not any visual material in the speech per se, except right at the end you make a reference to the setting where you would be doing your writing, and I thought that, it needed to be thought out a little bit more. It was okay as an idea. I'm not sure that it adds anything to the speech. All right, and the delivery is a little low-key. You need, I think, a little more energy. But like I said, I thought that at the beginning, at the end, you did a good job setting up the structure. It's in the middle that you need more of the signposting, and some of the visuals could help you with that too. All right.